sick, but I deserve love. I'm so poor, but could you spare me some love? I deserve love. If you couldn't tell already, if you do not have good health or good wealth in your relationship, you do not have a healthy and rich functioning relationship. How are you supposed to be in a relationship if your health is significantly bad? Like, you don't take care of your health. You don't care if you gain so much weight. You don't care if your teeth fall apart. You don't care if your breath smells. You don't care if your ass crack is always, brown. You literally do not care if your house is full of rubbish and there's rats. Who, generally speaking, would want to be in a relationship with someone like that? Now, here is the funny thing, though, is that your money is a lot like the same thing. If you are not making at least $10,000 per month and hiring a servant who cooks you food, maybe even one who cleans your house, that is unhealthy, in my opinion. I learnt this from Sam Ovens. If you don't know who Sam Ovens is, look him up and watch his old YouTube videos. This is one of my goals, to hire a private chef and perhaps a house servant. This is probably one of the healthiest things you could ever do for your wealth and your health and your relationship, because it not only takes away so much wasted time from you, because that's what most of your time gets wasted on, trivial, minute things that take up so much time. It's not social media that's a waste of time, it's all these things that you do throughout your day, the cooking, the cleaning, just those things that take up so much of your time. And it doesn't matter what gender you are, whether you're female or male, that's still a contributing factor that weighs significantly on stealing your energy. And so it brings to the question, what is a relationship? Because I see so many TikToks on TikTok pointing out that women will leave the relationship often complaining and nagging about the man not putting up his weight in the household, doing all these minute trivial chores. Like, why is it that a man has to put the groceries away when he buys groceries when the other party is out working, for example? Now, granted, if I was the man, I would be putting the groceries away. However, why is this this trivial thing such a big deal to so many people? It's the small things, the tiniest things that get under people's skin. These tiny things, and I don't want to list a bunch of examples right here. It's the simplest things, like taking out the trash. It's like, why do you not hire a house servant? Why do you not hire a private chef? Like, if you're sick, right? What do you do when you're sick? When you're sick, you do everything you can. You scramble yourself together to try and recover, to heal, right? Or do you not? The same is like your money. But how come you're not scrambling to fix your money? Your money is like a bloodline, a health line, in a very similar fashion. Why are we not scrambling to make at least 15,000 Aussie dollars or 10,000 US dollars to get to this point where you can hire a servant, 2 servants, private chef and house cleaner? This is what successful people do. At least in my opinion, that's what I aim for. Now, the real point here is, like, what really is a relationship? Because a relationship is not based on either party accomplishing either of these trivial tasks and then it getting under each other's skin. That is not what a relationship is supposed to be. A relationship is a deal, and the deal is usually to achieve some type of end goal. It's usually, there's some type of purpose behind the relationship, because the relationship cannot exist without there being a purpose. If the purpose was to move in together and have children, etc., then, that's a purpose. And unfortunately, people do change. Sometimes the purpose changes and sometimes one needs to adjust. The problem is people like to situate themselves, often men on this spectrum, tend to situate themselves in a fixed mindset where they do not grow or better themselves or enhance the relationship further or go beyond. Some people are just stagnant. Now, another thing about relationships is that they are expenditures of energy displayed, which means a relationship doesn't just come into fruition for no reason. Relationships require energy expenditure, and energy expenditure is a very important, major contributing factor into the existence of a relationship. Now, some people do not have the capacity, or refuse to have the capacity, or don't realize that they have the capacity to expend energy. This is why a lot of arguments tend to fail. And it's because the person, one party at least, doesn't have the capacity or the energy expenditure to deal with that so-called debate, argument, frustration. This is why giving up is so easy. This is why leaving the other party is so easy. This is why blaming and accusing the other person is so much easier then rectifying the issue, exploring what is actually painful, questioning things. It's so much easier to just go the negative route. And so what people typically don't realize about relationships is that they are not only expenditures of energy displayed as something tangible, but they are also deals. They are agreements, arrangements. These are so-called boundaries, these are the limitations, these are the pathways. And usually when people feel like the boundary has been violated, it's called a breach, and then they withdraw, and they don't even call it that, they just walk away cold-heartedly. Because typically it's the only way to punish the other person without some other type of brute force. Walking away, silence, typically silence, walking away, etc. are used as techniques for punishing the other party. These techniques are often also used for self-preservation.